Hello everyone, my name is Marcos, and today I will present my book review, Reconstruction, America and Finnish Revolution by Eric Foner. So, this book. This book offers one of the most significant interpretation of the era that followed the Civil War. Foner, the author, argues that the end of slavery opened a revolutionary struggle over the meaning of freedom, citizenship, labor, and democracy. In my review, I will focus on three chapters: the world the war made, the meaning of freedom, and redemption and after. In the first chapter, the world the war made, Foner opens with the emotional impact of emancipation. In the first page, there is a phrase said by a slaver. He told, "They can't sell my wife and children anymore. Bless the Lord." That single quote shows how freedom meant family, security, and personal dignity. Forner explained that emancipation did not simply end slavery. It raised new questions about land, labor, and rights. Former slaves viewed landed ownership as the foundation of independence. Many believed they could not be free unless they controlled their own labor and earned the fruits of their own work. Free labor, land, and the post-war South. Foner also shows how abolitionists had long promoted the free labor ideal, holding up small farmers and artisans as models of independence. After the war, this ideal shaped Reconstruction policies in North, but the destruction of slavery left the Southern economy in ruins. Factories, railroads, and cities were destroyed, and Confederate money had no value. Former slave and poor rights both demanded land, while North leads hoped the South would modernize without slavery. These competing visions create the central tension of Reconstruction. In the page 18, uh, if economic devastation stalked the South, for the North, the Civil War was a time of unprecedented prosperity, showing the difference between what happened in the Civil War and after the Civil War between the North and the South. One of the first actions Congress took in 1865 was the creation of the Freedmen's Bureau. On pages 6 to 8, Foreign describe how the Bureau was charged with creating schools, providing aid to the poor and elderly, settling disputes between whites and blacks, and enforcing equal treatment in the courts. But President Andrew Johnson policy reversed much of this progress when he returned confiscated land to former Confederates, forcing freed people into labor contracts instead of supporting land ownership. Black soldiers and citizenship. Foner also explained how military service shaped the meaning of freedom. By the end of the war, over 2,000 black soldiers had served in the Union Army and Navy. They courage disproved racist claims about black incapacity and won then great respect. In the page 77, the chapter The Meaning of Freedom, this chapter provides a deep look at how freed people themselves define freedom. On page 77, Houston Holloway described emancipation by saying he felt like a bird out of cage. Foner used this to show how freedom held powerful emotional and personal meaning. But the chapter also reveals that freedom was not a fixed concept. It became a terrain of conflict shaped by different expectations and goals among freed people, southern rights and northern policymakers. Freed people prioritize returned families, building independent churches, established schools, and created political organizations. All this is described in pages 78 to 82, describing how black communities built churches, schools, and mutual aid societies that formed the foundation of the modern black community. Foner shows that African Americans actively shaped their own freedom, reject the myth that they were unprepared for citizenship. Radical construction. Foner explained that the Reconstruction Act of 1867 created a new Southern government and granted black men the right to vote. The arm enrolled voters, and in many states black voters became the majority. This marked the beginning of radical Reconstruction, when black men served as legislators, sheriffs, and local officials. Foner argues that this period represented the most democratic expansion of American politics in the 19th century. White supremacist violence in collapse. But radical reconstructions faced fierce resistance. Foner described how white supremacist groups like the KKK used violence to overthrow Reconstruction's governments. Teachers, local officers, black officeholders, and black voters were targeted. By the 1870s, Northern support weakened. Economic depression, attention away from civil rights. Foner details how the disputed election of 1876 produced a political compromise. Republicans would win the presidency, but only by withdrawing federal troops from the South. This compromise efficiently ended Reconstruction. In the chapter 12 show the devastating consequence of the end of Reconstruction. White supremacists redeeming, government used terror, voter suppression, and legal restrictions to reestablish right political control. Pages 490 to 497 describe violent campaigns in states like Alabama, where Democrats used assassination, intimidation, and riots to suppress black voters. In conclusion, Eric Foner reconstructions offer a powerful and detailed explanation of how Americans struggled to define freedom after the Civil War. The passage 1 reviewed from Emancipation on page 1 to the collapse of Reconstruction on page 527 show both the revolutionary possibilities of the era and the intense opposition that stopped them. Reconstruction remains unfinished because its central question, citizenship, equality, and the role of the federal government, still shape American society today. Foner's work helps us understand how the victories and the failures of Reconstruction continue to influence the United States. Thank you for watching my review.